What's up? Welcome to Wine School. I'm Mike. He's always Eric. We got Brad and Jewel.
Hello.
Hey guys. We're going to drink some Riesling. Tonight's Wine School is brought to you by Idle Time. So if you live in the Bay Area and you want to join a networking group that does a lot of interesting stuff, including some wine tastings, check them out. idletimessf.com. Okay, so Riesling. You guys have heard me talk about this kind of find your wine, and there's a wine for everybody.
Right.
So I'll even narrow it down, and I will say there's a Riesling for everybody. Riesling it's certainly my favorite white wine. It might be my favorite wine. It's phenomenally good. And
it's a bold statement, Mike.
It's a bold statement. But I think what I like about Riesling is that it's got really great acidity, but it has really great fruit flavors, and it has really great minerality. And you a lot of times in a white wine you get two of those. You don't get all three, but you always get all three in a Riesling. And Riesling, there's a lot of different styles of it. There's a lot of different ways to make it. And I'll tell you guys a story. So last night I was doing some blind tasting, and this girl was talking to me, and she said, "Oh, you seem like you know a little bit about wine." Whatever, I'm learning. And she said, "What kind of wine should I order?" And I said, "Get a Riesling." And she said, "Oh no, I don't like Rieslings. I don't like sweet wines." And I said, "Don't get a sweet Riesling." "Well, I don't like sweet wines." Like, are you a moron? You're not listening to what I'm saying. Don't get a sweet Riesling. There's really sweet ones, and there's bone dry ones. If you don't like the sweet wines, get a bone dry one. They're fantastic. I don't like. I'm okay. I'm done trying to convince you. Don't drink the Riesling. But they do make them from all the way from bone dry all the way up to very, very, very sweet, which I'll talk about in a second. But before we get to that, let's talk about where they make Rieslings that are good. So the birthplace is Germany, and particularly the Moselle Valley, which the Moselle, Saar, Ruhr rivers kind of run through, and they carve this big gorge out in these really steep hills in a really cold climate. They grow the grapes, and the sun glints off the river and helps the grapes get ripe, even though it's really cold there. And so that's why you get this bracing acidity and this great minerality. They also grow it in Alsace, France, which I like quite a bit, and also in Austria. Now we see some Rieslings grown here in the States and also in Australia, and they can do some there as well. We're not drinking any of those tonight. We're drinking one Alsatian one and two from Germany. Okay, so we talked about the different levels of sweetness. And in Germany, they have a remarkably complicated classification system, like with everything that they do in Germany. Matter of fact, there's a famous quote from this one big wine writer. He was like, I'm really surprised that a major university has not endowed a chair in deciphering German wine labels, because they are really complicated. And you can see that if you take a look at them. But we're drinking a Dr. Heidemann's Bergweiler 2012 Bernkasseler Riesling from the Moselle, and also a 2006 Heidemann's Bergweiler Bernkassel Riesling. It's a little bit different. And then we're drinking an Albrecht, I think it's a 2011? Yeah, 2012 Riesling. So this is the dry one. When you get to Germany and they start making the Rieslings, they classify them by when the grapes are picked, and there's 6 different levels of ripeness. And they have awesome names to say. So the first level is Cabernet. The second one is Spätlese. The next one is Auslese. Then there's Baron Auslese.
You're not screaming them, so they don't sound German enough to me.
No, I do have to start. Trolken Baron Auslese. That's the highest one. So what we have, and that's sort of the spectrum. Cabernet is the lowest, and Trockenbeer and Auslese is the highest. We're actually doing an Auslese and a Baron Auslese. So this is like level 3 and level 5-ish. And then we're doing the Austrian, or the Alsatian one, which is going to be bone dry. So that's why we set them up like this. You've got dry, moving towards a higher level of sweetness, and let's figure out what Riesling is the best for us. Let's get into it and check it out.
So I'm going to make a prediction. I think that Jewel is going to like this first one.
I would say so. I was looking at the middle one too.
That is a very nice wine.
That is very good.
It's delightful.
A lot of apple and
Yeah, a lot of green
Acid.
apple, a lot of acid. It's classic Alsace Riesling. One of the things about Riesling is they don't do a great job of labeling them. So it's kind of like the Forrest Gump, life is a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're gonna get. So it hasn't been that uncommon when I bought a Riesling thinking it was gonna be sweet and it was not, or the other way around. And it's quite a surprise.
keeps it exciting though, right?
It keeps it exciting.
Go.
So this first one, bone dry, delightful. And that's really my go-to. I love that dry Riesling
Yeah.
style.
That's this guy, right? No, that guy.
Okay, then we move up to the
It's
Auslese.
fizzy.
It's got a
There's a
little
little bit of a
It was,
carbonation
yeah.
to it.
little bit of fizz.
I like this one a lot, actually.
And that one's just got a hint of that sweetness
I
in
knew
it.
I wouldn't like that one.
This one's just candy.
Sugar in the
I
glass.
knew it.
Yeah.
Salty yellow.
It's like diabetes urine.
I can honestly say, in all the time I've been wine tasting, I've never heard the diabetes urine.
Oh, God.
It's not.
So sweet.
I've never,
It's too sweet.
Oh.
never heard that applied before. It's sweet.
I like this, but I couldn't drink a whole glass of it. It tastes really good, but I couldn't drink a whole glass.
Yeah, so all this stuff is like, what's it for, right? So if you think about this first one, you could drink this all day. Like in the hot sun, this would just be, if it was ice cold, it would just be perfect. This one would be great with like a dessert, like a glass with like a cheesecake or something.
This is for melting witches and Hansel and Gretel.
So let me just point out, there's 2 levels of sweetness above this one.
Get out of here.
I swear, this is
Get out of town.
this is a Baron Auslese. So there's an ice wine and then a Trockenbeeren Auslese. I've had a Trockenbeeren Auslese before. Like you pour it out, and it's like pouring like it drips
Oh,
almost. Like it's
God,
like this
terrible.
thick. Like you're
Just
like
inject
it's
it
like,
right in your
you're like,
pancreas. Just syringe it right in
I
there.
actually think this one's my favorite.
the middle one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one too, actually.
So that's interesting. So that's actually the third level of sweetness. So that's got a fair bit of sugar on it.
But it's got a little bit of tartness, which makes it a
Yeah.
lot nicer.
After
A little bit
tasting
of
all of
us.
them and then going back to this one, it's not my favorite, but I like it. But this is definitely the taste wise.
But I think that was similar for me. When I first tasted them, this was my favorite.
Yeah.
But then after tasting this super sweet one, actually the second one, it's kind of this in-between option.
Yeah, it's like the
that's more
happy
appealing,
medium.
right?
It's not too sweet. It's a little bit crisp, but
But I think you have that residual sweetness.
But I like that kind of Granny Smith crisp apple taste. That's a good taste to
Yeah, me
see,
too.
Yeah, and one of the things about Riesling is the range of which you can find it in. I had there's this famous wine guy named Paul Greco who owns some places in New York. You heard of Hearth? Or you ever been to Hearth or Terroir? He owns a bunch of wine
Sounds
bars.
familiar, yeah.
Yeah. And he's a big Riesling guy. So I was eating dinner at Hearth in New York City probably, I don't know, a couple months ago. And like half the wine list is Riesling. So the guy's just a Riesling fanatic. So I ended up buying a Riesling that was a 1969 Riesling.
Nice.
Just because I wanted to see how it would age. White wines typically don't age super well, but this has such high acid that it aged well, and it was smoky, almost like a Scotch.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Got more
I
complex as it aged.
yeah, and I got the tasting menu, right? So it was like, 5 or 6 different things, and I drank it with every single course, and it went with every single course. It was like the acid worked with the salad course, like the smokiness worked with the duck course, like the sweetness worked with the. It was, and I'm like sitting there going, this is amazing. I just have one bottle of wine. I'm drinking all. It was unbelievable.
what else is in this one? Do I like the middle?
What else is in it?
Yeah.
A
What
couple
fruits?
rupees.
Perfect.
Well, I mean, I don't know. What do you get on it?
I just got the apple, but I can't really tell. I saw.
So I definitely get that green appleness.
Like a Jolly Rancher almost.
One of the things that is fairly typical, especially of aged Riesling, is it takes on a little bit of a gasoline characteristic. Almost
Okay.
like a petroleum. I don't really get too much of that on this. I do get some citrus. I get like almost like a pineapple, passion fruit, guava.
This isn't very aged, right? This
Yeah,
is 2000.
it is kind of passion fruit.
2012.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why I like it. It's a little tropical. A little
Well,
Caribbean.
and this comes back to what I was saying at the beginning, which is Riesling is great fruit flavors, great acid, and has this marvelous minerality to it as well. And no other wine that I know of does it. So I personally, and this is why it's my favorite white wine, if not my favorite wine of all times, because whatever mood I'm in, there's a Riesling for that.
There you go.
And so, for all of us, there's a Riesling for each of us. For me, I actually like
You like the first one?
I like the first one.
So
It's-
yours is the first one. What do you like the best?
Gonna have to go with the first one, but I
Okay.
do like the second one a lot as well.
I like the middle one.
I like the middle as well.
Okay, very cool.
And nobody liked the sweet one.
No, you like the
No,
I
it's
couldn't
too
even
much.
guess.
It's like, yeah. Like
It's
you
over the
said,
top.
diabetes urine.
Diabetes shirt. I love
Like
that.
liquefied cotton candy. It's just too much.
Yeah.
It's just too
I'm
much.
gonna have to add that to my Vivino notes for
Yeah.
diabetes urine. That's fantastic.
Get out your sugar shit.
All right.
Cheers.
As always, we're going out with 30 seconds of craziness.
Yeah.
Enjoy.